Hey friends, welcome to the Empowered Homes Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to grow strong families by connecting church and home. And today we have our amazing preschool team, because today we're talking about preschool ministry, and we're going to talk about how we connect with parents and how do we actually connect church and home. So we'll start. Give us your name, what you do, and your favorite thing about preschool ministry.
I'm Laura Hearn. I'm the preschool minister here at the Central Campus of Kingsland. And I have to say, for preschool, I really love being able to just connect with the entire family. Preschoolers come with families. You can't just send them off by themselves. So you already have that connection with the families right off the bat. And just especially first-time guests, just bringing them in, making them feel comfortable, letting them know that they're loved, that they're welcome here, their kids are safe, the kids are having fun, and just making those connections. I just love that about preschool.
Awesome.
I'm Caitlyn Johnston. I am the preschool ministry associate here at the Central Campus, and what I love about preschool is the children. I just love this age and how they are so joyful and carefree, and they are just little sponges who love to soak up anything you give them. And so when we get to lay the foundation of Jesus for them and to just build that from a young age, I think it's really awesome.
Which is a good thing that you like the kids.
It's an awesome thing that I love the
kids.
Like, yes.
I can't stand the kids, but I'm in preschool ministry, which is awesome.
Which is funny because when I started this job, Laura was like, just so you know, we're not with the kids like all the time. I know, but I just love being around them all.
That's awesome. Very cool. And then last but not least.
All right, I'm Elyse Squibb. I'm the preschool ministry director at North Campus. And I love birth through kindergarten. Their emotions are so raw. And I really love that.
They tell you what they feel.
You never wonder what they're thinking. But also kind of what you guys were saying with the families, just loving on young families. It's a very isolating time, and I love giving them some hope.
Yeah. And what I love about the three of you and your hearts for just the families in the preschool, what we offer is not what you call childcare, right?
Right.
We don't do childcare.
Exactly right.
Explain that.
Okay, so that's one thing that I really do love about Kingsland is that I feel like some churches you just have childcare. You drop off, the kids have fun and they play, but there's nothing more than that superficial layer. Whereas here at Kingsland, we automatically start a Bible study with them as soon as they come in, no matter what the age. We have baby church for our babies through our 2-year-olds, where it's a curriculum that just lets the kids, through repetition, just learn biblical principles. And then we partner with the parents at home by sending them an email, letting them know what their kiddo is going to be learning, and so they can have activities and things for them to do at home so that they can continue to reinforce those principles that we're learning here at church. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. That's what I love. And I've actually gotten in trouble by you by putting an email together of saying, hey, we need childcare for this. And like, it's not childcare, which I love. Yeah. Absolutely love that. That's our heart. Yeah. And our heart is to connect church and home. And we say all the time, like, we're the B team. The church, we're the B team. Parents, you're the A team, but we're not just going to tell them, hey, go figure it out. We're going to give them resources to do that. But sometimes, in the reality, there's going to be parents listening to this, but ministry leaders, working with parents can be a challenge. And so we're going to go back this way, all three of you to answer. What are some challenges that you've seen? And please don't name names. Let's keep that off the board. What are some challenges, like just in general, with preschool ministry and connecting with parents and working with parents?
Yeah, so one of the challenges that I've come across is, and especially I think right now after the pandemic, is a lot of kids haven't been away from their parents yet. So we're one of the first times they're dropping them off. And so you get kids that are extremely scared of leaving their parents. And so working with parents, and sometimes you're letting them know like that maybe they need some extra help with their child. And that can be a really hard conversation, especially when you're the only place that they're dropping them off and you see them for an hour. So just being able to have open, honest conversations about their children, it's hard.
Yeah. So how do you, and anybody can answer this, how do we bridge the gap? Because we want to communicate what's going on with your child, but at the same time not communicate negativity so parents don't be like, well, my kid was a terror today. I don't want to come back. Like, how do you balance that? Because I think that's a struggle.
It is. It's hard. And you really have to build that relationship with the child. It can't be just the first time they walk in like, whoa. You're not yourself the first time you go somewhere new anyways. So building that relationship, but giving them the tools, not just saying, hey, this is what's going on, good luck, but giving them tools and resources to, and just the encouragement that we're here and we're going to build a relationship with your child and we're going to help you every step of the way. Whether it just means staying in the class for our hour and a half together or whatever the next steps are that we need to make your time successful.
Yeah, that's huge. Just saying that of like, my kid, I'm picking them up and all I hear is all the things that they did wrong. And then I'm like, what do I do with that? As opposed to, hey, here's some things that we had in class, but here are some resources and some tools. Here's some stuff to work on. That's a huge difference to connecting and helping parents go through that, because we've got lots of littles and you're working with lots and you have a trusted voice, and hopefully parents would receive that better than just hearing all the bad stuff that my kid did in class. So that's a good challenge. Caitlyn, what about some challenges for you?
The challenge I can think of is just parents coming back and checking on their kids. And so just the difficult children that, are struggling and having a hard time, and the parents think that it's going to give them some comfort and peace to just check and make sure they're doing okay, but just having that trust with the parent that we will contact you if it gets to some extreme that we can't comfort them. And, so just building that relationship to give them the peace that they can go to church and they can worship and relax, knowing that we have their kids in good hands and their well-being is like, and we want the best for them too. We're not going to let them just cry the entire 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a tough one. What about?
So just like echoing off of what Elyse and Caitlyn said, I mean, it really is about just building the relationships with the parents and letting them know that we love their kiddos too, and we want them to have fun here at church. Especially, I guess, like in preschool, one of the challenges that we do see that's a little different is as kiddos get older, if they do have special needs or something, it becomes more pronounced. And so usually it's preschool where you start to see some of those differences, and just being able to, again, partner with the parents and just offering them different resources. And here at Kingsland, we have like the special needs ministry, helping to put them in contact with other people and other families that might have some of this, are facing some of the same issues or some same difficulties. And so just giving them, that, again, resources and building those relationships so that you can have those conversations with them. And just that community, so.
And having that, building the trust, getting to know them. I think, I would say most ministry leaders would agree with that, but just to take it to the next step is really understanding, like, yes, what I'm hearing you say is, yes, like, we work with the preschool children, but more so we work with the preschool parents. And so I think that's a huge way that we're partnering with them. So with that, we talked negative. What are some positive things that you guys intentionally do to try and partner with them? You mentioned some stuff you're giving them. Let's talk through some resources. How do we actually resource and partner with parents? Like, what does that look like? We'll start with Caitlyn this time.
So we send, wonderful. We send emails to parents every week to follow up and just let them know the topics that they talked about on Sunday and what their kid is learning, so that they can take that throughout the week and just follow up with their kids and keep that conversation going that we started at church. Also on Wednesday nights, I have seen, we do the Little Lights, and there are crafts that they do, and then they learn about being missionaries. And I have had families tell me that they have the craft, that we did prayer sticks one time, and they had prayer sticks in their home, and they do it every night, and it's just a routine. It's part of their routine. So it's really cool that we can provide little things like that in a craft, and their families can take it home and just keep going with it.
Well, that's really good. Laura?
So just kind of piggybacking off of what Caitlyn said, all of our events, we try to give them a family, like a tangible something to actually do when they get home. So it is a really fun event, but we try to make it an intentionally fun event. So it's not just just a movie night. We actually have like a lesson that goes along with it that the parents can continue on at home. And we try to make it also preschool specific. So it's not, abstract. We try to make it as concrete as we possibly can so that it really helps preschoolers understand, because preschoolers are not abstract thinkers. They don't have that yet. So just giving the parents those tools to, bring home what they're learning here in a tangible way at home. And so, that's.
Yeah, one of the things that we do that, I love is, it's sad I don't have a preschooler anymore, but the movie nights, and tell us about movie nights and kind of what you would do at the end of that.
And that's so funny that because I have multiple parents that come and say, hey, we don't have preschoolers anymore, but can we still come? And I'm like, yes, the more the merrier. And so preschool, our movie night started over the summer just to have an activity for people to do. And it's so fun. You get your pajamas on, you get to come up, and we have a popcorn bar, and everybody brings their pillows and blankets and just lays out on the floor and watches a movie. But then we have a family devo that they take home that really, again, reinforces one of the concepts that kind of comes from the movie. And so it's just an easy win for parents, and it's an easy win for families to invite neighbors that aren't churched. And so just an all-around just great event that one of my favorites for preschool. So
thinking through the weekly stuff of like giving them, sending the emails, all that, even events, being strategic of how you do all that. Elyse, what would you add that you would do that you love that you do for parents?
Well, it might not quite be that, but inviting parents to serve. And it's more than just recruiting volunteers, but if I have a child that's reluctant to go into the class, seeing that mom and dad are serving is building a huge foundation, and they are trusting. I just had a win last Sunday that a child for a month, all I could get was a high five. Dad came in and served, and you would never know that this child had cried ever coming into the class. I mean, he rocked it. And so getting parents involved is more than just filling a spot in the classroom. Like, you are encouraging your child to get the most out of the Sunday school that they can. So
and a great example of serving and that attitude.
So just inviting parents to come along and see what we're doing in the classrooms. And they fall in love with it too.
So good. I know.
Yeah, there's hesitancy, or different thoughts of having parents in the classes. Some see that as like, it's the child's just more dependent on the parent as opposed to, being some independent. But why is it a good thing to have parents leading in the classroom? Because I think we would kind of go against the grain of a lot of churches. Why is it a good thing?
And it does depend on the kid. So sometimes being in your child's classroom is not going to be the best thing. And so you do have to know the family. But I really think that having the parents in the classroom is teaching the kids, one, this is safe. My parents are in here. This is a good place to be. But two, they're seeing the foundation of like, we go to church together. And they're going to their kids' church room. That's what their kids know of church. So, just getting to go to church together when it works out with preschool is really exciting.
Yeah.
Sure.
What? Anything else? Why parents in the classroom? Why is it a good thing?
I think it just shows also just the parents kind of echo that they're part of the community of the church. They are part of the church. They're just not onlookers, they're participants. And so I think that's just a good habit to build in early on, that you're involved, that you're not just watching. So
they're seeing mom and dad model.
Exactly.
It's a big deal. And for the parents listening, they're like, well, I've been reluctant to serve. Get in there and serve.
And it doesn't have to be preschool. I mean, there's so many different opportunities. So
I think
just doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved, like, even, being on staff. I'm running around on Sundays, but I loved being on the rotation, like just filling in.
Yeah.
And I would get made fun of other staff members because I'm sitting in there with babies or whatever I'm supposed to do. They're like, why are you in here? I'm like, I want to model this for my kids too. It's more than just filling a spot. And I think a lot of times you guys, the urgency is we gotta have volunteers. We gotta fill the spot. But I love how intentional you are with equipping our leaders to lead and to be intentional. It's not childcare. It's a big deal. So last question. Let's talk about some wins. A lot of times in preschool ministry, it's hard to define. Like, all right, we are doing good. Like this ministry is doing good.
They're not crying.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not crying. What are some wins that you guys have established? Like, all right, we're doing it. These are good things. So not crying is one.
Well, not crying. No, not crying.
Yeah.
When you can walk down the hallway and it's peaceful.
Yeah.
I just think as social media is such a blessing nowadays because you can see what people are doing at home and just seeing them actually doing some of the Advent that we send home or some of the things from the movie night or any of the, and just seeing the parents just take charge of being the primary faith trainer in their home with their preschoolers and the preschoolers actively participating and being able to tell you, hey, Miss Laura, do you know what I did? I did this yesterday with my parents, and we went through this Bible verse. And it's just, that would be the win for me, just knowing that the parents are taking, their faith and sharing it with their kiddos. And just, we're there to help lay the foundation, but for the parents to be the owners of doing that.
The hard part, social media, sometimes you'll never see that.
Right,
You'll
exactly.
Never, and so that's really cool. Caitlyn, what's a win for you?
Mine's going to go off of the not crying. It's a win for me when I can come in on a Sunday and there are kids that are just losing it and you can go and you can provide that comfort and you can stop a crying kid. There is so much just safety in that and just so much joy for me to be able to do that so that the parents don't have to worry and that they can enjoy the church and they can get fed and then they can go and throughout the week be able to feed their kids, what they learn too. And I think that's a win for me.
Caitlin's a good baby whisperer.
Yes.
I love the kids.
Yes. Elyse, what's a win for you? What are wins?
A win for me is when you do have that relationship with a child that parents are having a rough morning. I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. We got him or her. And so that's a win to make parents feel safe and secure leaving their kids. But kind of what you guys said also is when you hear about what they're doing at home and they're going over a story and they text me at 10 o'clock, oh my gosh, I have to tell you that they were able to remember part of the story and it just blew my mind that they put together and they're actually learning. And we're like, well, yeah, of course. We're singing the songs and telling the stories and
doing all the things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's, defining wins, I think is super important because you have a scoreboard, to look at and be like, all right, we got, this many points or because sometimes it's always the negative or the bad stuff or whatever, especially preschool. I would, the crying or if you have a rough Sunday, it's hard to, but then you see something on social media and you're all right, we are making a difference and you guys are. So just know that, I get to see it and I was, used to have a kid that I got the fruits of all of y'all's work with preschool. But last thing, this wasn't on your question. So,
no.
All right, safe place, the table's safe.
Oh dear.
You get to give some advice to a parent listening. If you could get eye to eye, knee to knee with a parent and give them any advice, what's the one nugget you're like, you got to know this? All right, putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Putting you on the spot. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I think it's really important to remember it's just a phase. Whatever they're going through, even unfortunately, the really, really sweet times are a phase. And so holding on to the sweet times and remembering that the hard times really are a phase. And there's so much good even in those hard times. Those are ministry moments. You're modeling how to calm or whatever, so just their phases and they're fast in the scheme of things.
That's a good word because me and my wife were just talking about that the other day. We're in a whole different season now and it's man, it went by so fast. But while you're in it, you think it'll never end.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a good word. Good. Yeah.
I guess I would just make sure that the parents know that preschoolers are so forgiving and so loving. And, we all mess up, and we're all kind of learning, especially when you have littles and they're maybe your first one and you're just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And just saying, hey, I am so sorry. Will you forgive me? And just, again, that would be modeling, how you should, and just knowing that they're going to roll with it and they are going to love you. And, we all mess up, but, just to ask for that forgiveness and just to, and not, beat yourself up over it, because, we're all kind of learning as we go. So.
That's good. I don't know how many times my wife has told our kids, like, I've never done this before.
Yes, so,
exactly. Like, give me, like, I'm sorry.
Right. So especially the first child. Exactly.
The first child.
I'm just like, she'll tell you all about it. She's like, that never happened with me.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's good.
I'm sorry. I'm learning.
All right, Caitlyn.
I think mine is that they're always listening. Like, they're always paying attention, even when you're, like, I have a 3-year-old and then all the way up to 9. So I'm in very different seasons. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we do devotions at our table every night, and half the time one's over here running this way, one's one's actually eating probably, and one is running around the table. And we get frustrated that we're sitting here pouring in and trying to do a devotion, right, and have them pay attention. But then the next day, they could bring something up about it, and you're like, you were listening, like you were paying attention. So just not getting frustrated that, like, the life moments are happening, but just keep going and just keep feeding into them and pouring into them and doing the daily tasks, and they are listening. They'll get it. And
that's
it's
really
laying
good,
the foundation. Yeah.
So good.
That's really good. They're listening to everything.
Everything.
The
good and the bad.
Exactly. And that's when I'm sorry comes in.
I'm sorry comes in. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for jumping in. And those listening, if you want more information, if you're a ministry leader and you want more information on anything that we talked about, you can find all that at empoweredhomes.org, or you can email us leaders@empoweredhomes.org. If you're a parent, I hope you were blessed. And if you have any questions, you can email us at info@empoweredhomes.org. But guys, thank you all for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So fun.
Thanks for having us.